Former President Donald Trump may be planning a crime spree if he's reelected. During an Iowa town hall with Sean Hannity, he was asked if he planned on doing crime and being a dictator. Here's a response.
You use the words, "I am your retribution." And now before that, you said if you've been wronged, and you used other words as well. But I want to be very, very clear on this. To be clear, do you in any way have any plans whatsoever, if reelected president, to abuse power, to break the law, to use the government to go after people?
You mean like they're using right now? So, in the history of our country, what's happened to us, again, has never happened before. Over nonsense, over nothing, made up charges. I often say Al Capone, he was one of the greatest of all time, if you like criminals. He was a mob boss, the likes of which Scarface, they call him. And he got indicted once. I got indicted 4 times. I wonder what my father and mother would say looking down.
So I love how he talks about Al Capone. If you like criminals, well, apparently you do. Apparently he loves criminals, or at least certainly wants to emulate criminals and mob bosses. But anyway, look, he dodged the question, pretty obvious, and instead turned it around. Oh, you mean like they're doing right now? They're doing this to me. I'm the victim. Poor me. They're really coming after me. Made up charges. Except that there's a lot of evidence for these charges. But anyway, it should have been an easy question for normal people. Hey, do you plan on breaking the law if you get elected? Do you plan on going after your enemies if you get elected? No, I don't. I plan to serve the American people. Okay, next question. Boom, that's how you do it. It's that simple. Literal softball, the softest of balls that you could throw. Okay, easy layup. Easy layup. And of course, he didn't answer it. Why? Why didn't he answer it? Again, Sean Hannity, by the way, gave him another chance to answer this question. And here's how that went.
Under no circumstances, you are promising America tonight, you would never abuse power as retribution against anybody.
Except for day one.
Except
Look,
what?
he's going crazy. Except for day one.
Meaning?
I want to close the border, and I want to drill.
That's not retribution. I'm
gonna be, he keeps, we love this guy. He says, you're not gonna be a dictator, are you? I said, no, other than day one.
Other than day one. And we're closing the border. We're gonna drill. Well, now, look, Hannity's right when he says, well, that's not retribution. That's a policy. That's a policy. Okay, but wait, hold on. He says, I'm going to be a dictator for a day and close the border. Can he actually do that? Well, look, the president does have broad authority to restrict certain ports of entry in the country and limit who can come into those ports for a short time. They can also order DHS and Border Patrol to temporarily restrict any port of entry. Temporarily. He can't completely seal the southern border. He said, I'm going to close the border. Well, I mean, look, what do you think he means? He says, I'm going to close it. I'm going to close the border completely, which would be unconstitutional. Why is that? Well, you can't just close the border because the Fifth Amendment has something called the Due Process Clause, which allows U.S. citizens to enter the United States. You think all U.S. citizens are currently in the United States? No, people travel. If you completely close the borders, what's it going to do for citizens outside of the United States, right? And by the way, speaking of non-citizens, because that's the whole purpose, is to try to keep non-citizens out. Remember, they can't be denied entry without a fair hearing. That's under law. There's also the Immigration and Naturalization Act, which says that asylum seekers must be allowed into the country to apply for asylum. You have to be within the country's borders. So, look, if he tries to do this, he's going to have a lot of court challenges, and chances are he's going to lose a lot of them. Okay? So you can't just unilaterally close the border. Can't do it. Now, as far as energy policy goes, we're going to drill. Well, he can't approve more drilling. So that is something that he can do. He can approve permits. But as far as anything else, he didn't really go into any details. And that's because he doesn't have to. So he doesn't actually have to answer that question any more than he already has. So why do I say that? Well, because Republicans already have a plan to expand the powers of the executive branch so that he can be a dictator, that he can do all the things that he wants to do. And that's called Project 2025. I've talked about this before. And what it would do is place the entire executive branch of the federal government under presidential control and eliminate the independence of the Department of Justice, the DOJ, so he can use it to go after his political enemies, Federal Communications Commission, so he can control the airwaves, the FTC, and other agencies. And so that would, all of that control would effectively make him a dictator. Those agencies do a lot of actual governance. And what does he plan to do with that power? I would say more than just restrict immigration and speed us towards climate oblivion. And for that, we go to Trump's allies. Kash Patel, talking to Steve Bannon on Tuesday, said that if Trump is reelected, his administration is definitely planning on retaliating against people in the media. So they're going after free speech. They're going after freedom of the press. In fact, he said, we will go out and find the conspirators, not just in the government, but in the media. And of course, they are saying that the conspiracy is telling the truth, that Trump did not win the election. They're saying, no, he did win, and the media covered it up, you see. He said, we're going to come after the media, the people in the media who lied about American citizens, who helped Joe Biden rig presidential elections. Again, that didn't actually happen. We're going to come after you, whether it's criminally or civilly. We'll figure that out. But yeah, we're putting you all on notice. It doesn't have to come from Trump himself, but for people who are allies of Trump, who are going to end up very likely in these positions again, in these positions as political appointees if Trump wins a second term. That would be an assault on the freedom of the press. And they can't wait to do it. They're telling you, we're going to do this. We're going to set up essentially what is our own ministry of truth after we crush the press, after we unconstitutionally, we're just going to take the Constitution and burn it, okay? Specifically the First Amendment. We're going to get rid of that. And we're going to set up a ministry of truth where the actual truth is lies, and only the government under Trump is telling the truth, is correct, is politically correct. I don't know about you, but it, to me, sounds pretty dictatorial.